What's up guys, and welcome back to the C8 Corvette. I feel like I reviewed quite a few of these on the channel recently in the form of a C8 Z51 that I reviewed in LA, as well as a C8 Z06 that I've now driven twice. But I'm very excited to go back to the base C8 with a Z51 package because this is the one that mere mortals can afford. I say that with asterisks because this particular car is optioned out to $96,000 with destination. The owner, Paul, mentioned that he bought this recently. It's a brand new 2024 model year and it's close to fully loaded. He's got the Z51 performance package, optional mag ride suspension, which you add on top of the Z51, and he has the 3LT package, which gives us all the creature comforts. This one is also spec'd out with the high downforce wing, which Paul has repainted in body color. This car is powered by a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated pushrod V8 engine, pushing out 495 horsepower, which is 5 more due to the Z51's active exhaust, and 470 pound-feet of torque. We have an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, front and rear double wishbone suspension, and this car weighs around 3,700 pounds. Now, what does the Z51 package get us? It gets us a lot of things. It costs just over $6,000. We get an ELSD, a shorter final drive, the performance exhaust, upgraded brakes, upgraded cooling, PS4S tires, upgraded springs and dampers, and this one also has front axle lift, which is super helpful. The car is totally stock except for Castrol SRF brake fluid and GM's recommended track alignment. That's right, this has adjustable alignment from the factory, much like the SS1LE. One thing I love about GM's more track-focused products. With that, let's take this thing for a drive on my favorite canyon road. Now, having just driven a C8 Z06 with a Z07 package twice now, although we don't have that car here today for a direct comparison, I still remember how that car drives so well. Is the Z06 worth the extra money? Base price between the two cars is roughly around $70,000 for a C8 non-Z51 versus around $110 for a C8 Z06 non-Z07. Obviously, with the example that I drove, that Z06 was over 180 grand, this one being just under 100. Is that car really worth almost twice the price? So we're gonna put this into Z mode, press it again to turn on Performance Traction Sport, manual mode for this 8-speed dual clutch. Interior, I'm not going to speak too much on that. Very comfortable place to be, very high quality. Don't really love this square steering wheel, but that's all beside the point. Let's just drive this thing. Oh, that really doesn't feel much slower than the Z06, and I think that's because of the mid-range torque. This car is just so confidence-inspiring. Really good brake feel. Even on PS4S tires, this car feels so composed. Not a ton of steering feedback, but very precise front end. This dual clutch doesn't particularly like to shift quickly when you're partial throttle. It really wants you to be flat out to give you the best shift performance. Oh, listen to that pushrod V8. It's such an American sound in a car that handles, quite honestly, not very American, at least compared to prior generations of Corvette. This really moves the bar forward by quite a lot in terms of handling. Moving to mid-engine honestly was the best thing Chevy could have done for the C8 Corvette. They had already reached the limits of what that front engine rear-wheel drive layout could accomplish with the C7. The ZR1 I drove on the same road was borderline undrivable, but this just has that mid-engine balance, the traction that comes along with it. It's phenomenal. And still plenty of straight line performance. It's a properly fast car. You don't have to work super hard for the performance either. I drove one of these on track at Sonoma Raceway not too long ago, and when you want to push it to the limit, it'll respond to your every input, but when you just want to cruise around past some other cars on the freeway, this big pushrod V8 with its oodles of torque lets you do that. That may be one advantage of this compared to the Z06 with its flat plane crank V8, which is much higher revving, but doesn't necessarily feel more usable on the road. Then when we're just cruising around, the mag ride suspension, even with the firmer Z51 setup, it's so comfortable. The damping quality is borderline perfect. Look at the way this thing just soaks up the bumps mid-corner. The corner's nice and flat. Let's try putting this thing into race mode. I know I'm kind of jumping to an early conclusion, but I'm already so impressed after just 6 or 7 minutes behind the wheel. So much confidence going into every corner. The mid-corner balance is great. The corner exit traction is great. Really no need to use second gear at all. The third gear has all the low-end torque you could ever need. Honestly, this gives some of the best Porsches a run for their money. And while we're paused here, look at all the dedicated buttons for everything. I love it and I hate it at the same time, because I love dedicated buttons, but the way this has been designed is just a little too busy. The fact that I have to press my tricep up against this optional bucket seat, by the way, just to reach some of the controls down here, it's just not ideal. That said, the infotainment system is very quick, very responsive, has all the tech you could want. Heated and cooled seats. In a car that still performs this well, it's such a well-rounded package. You can truly drive this every single day. Even the trunk is pretty sizable, marketed as being able to fit a set of golf clubs. All right, let's finish this drive. I do wish there was a little more steering feedback. At least the way it loads up in the corners is quite natural. Look at that. That bump back there easily upsets a lot of cars, but this mag ride just soaks it up. Single compression rebound, and it's settled. I think going for the Z51 package plus the mag ride, that's the way to go. That'll cost you a little over $8,000. It's actually a great value for all that you get. That you can get a C8 with the same engine and gearbox and chassis, minus some of the higher performance bits and the nicer interior, for $70,000, that is something to behold in 2024. Obviously, I would still go for the Z51 package, if not the 3LT, but if you just want a fast and fun daily for a reasonable price, even a base C8 Stingray is an amazing value for money. It really does have driving dynamics closer to that of a German sports car, but with the character of an American pushrod V8, and arguably more comfort than some of its more exotic rivals. It's just such a fantastic car all around. Big shout out to Paul for letting me review this car. Let me know what you think about the C8 generation Stingray, and I'll see you in the next one.